It's Tuesday, July 28th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Different community, still protesters meet Tim Houston's latest tour stop. A new memorial to fallen police officers lights up a Fredericton bridge.
A changing weather pattern will cool temperatures and bring showers at the end of the week.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We'll have those stories in a moment, but we begin with something we haven't been able to say in quite some time. Vegetables, dairy, even baked goods are all cheaper in the Maritimes. The latest figures from Dalhousie's Agri-Food Lab show 2 East Coast cities saw large dips in grocery prices this month. That's despite high meat prices. CTV's Vanessa Wright has the numbers.
Cheddar Meat Market has been in business for more than 50 years. Today, they're still standing. Their competitive prices, no doubt, have something to do with that.
For the last 2-3 months, we have an increase of about 20%. Our prices are very reasonable compared to the others.
The price of meat continues to take a bite out of grocery bills. Pork climbed by 24%, salmon by 25%, and bacon prices are up nearly 29%.
So these are changes month to month, not year to year, month to month. So you can see that really proteins are still a factor.
But after months of inflated food costs, the region is finally seeing steady prices in other places. Dalhousie's Agri-Food Lab found 30 of the 50 national food categories have trended down. Tomatoes went down by 4.7%, onions by 5%, romaine lettuce by 6.6%, and broccoli is down nearly 24%.
We are surprised to see the produce section being cheaper in the Atlantic. So if there is a region that actually needed a break, it's certainly the Atlantic, because it's been really tough.
Dalhousie's report also looked at prices in 13 Canadian cities, 7 of which saw an increase in their 50-item basket and 6 saw decreases. St. John saw the largest dip at 4.2%. Halifax came in second at 3.6%.
It doesn't mean that Halifax is less expensive. It means our report is showing that prices are trending down the most in the country.
But the good news is lately the price of beef seems like it's going down.
And Sylvain Charlebois still expects people to be on the hunt for deals. After speaking with shoppers today, they said if grocery prices have gone down, it certainly hasn't felt like it. Todd.
Vanessa, Cheddar's Meats. He said the price of beef he sees making a change as well, going down.
That's exactly right. The price of beef he expects to go down, and he says that it's a good thing. There's a lot of customers in there looking for beef and other proteins, but for right now, we're just going to have to wait and see, Todd.
Yeah, we haven't heard that. That's a glimmer of good news. Thank you very much, Vanessa Wright, in Halifax for us right now. It wasn't the volatile reception like the recent encounter in Wolfville, but Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston was met with more protests in Bridgewater today. People with a list of grievances against the PC government rallied at the Premier's latest stop of his provincial-wide tour. CTV's Emma Convey was there.
And you want to move me apart like I'm nobody. Yeah, well, answer the question. Show me the titles of my land.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. I appreciate it.
Show me the titles.
A not-so-warm welcome for Premier Tim Houston in Bridgewater today, arriving in the town for a stop on his summer tour, initially greeted by a protest.
It would be rare that I didn't stop and hear that and engage. Like I enjoy that, and it's necessary for our democracy. Sometimes you can tell when a crowd doesn't want to engage.
He says this crowd, for the most part, was one that just wanted a discussion, and he welcomes that.
I'd like to talk later,
okay.
And we're very civil.
Yeah, I can see that. Yes. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Happy to talk on any issues. Doesn't mean we're going to agree, but I'm happy to have a chat on it.
Among the topics discussed at today's Chamber of Commerce luncheon, healthcare, energy, a stronger economy, and how to keep young people in the province. Bridgewater's Mayor David Mitchell brought up the issue of cell service.
If you draw a circle that's 1 minute outside of Bridgewater in every direction, there's no cellular coverage. And so just kind of joining forces and recognizing that we need some improvement in rural cellular coverage, which he talked about.
While outside, those protesting say they want the Premier to listen. And it wasn't just one issue.
Definitely the lack of Indigenous consultation, the lack of honoring treaties, taking off the ban on uranium mining and fracking, the cuts to arts and culture.
Some were picketing.
Cover what we need. Help us work. Help us get what we deserve. Give us a fair wage that we can keep employees.
While in town, the Premier spoke at an announcement for about 20 new townhouse units for healthcare workers.
We know that housing can be a stressor for many people, and certainly for healthcare workers when we're trying to retain them and recruit them. So projects like this just try to mitigate that stressor.
Tim Houston's State of the Province tour continues with his next stop in Pictou County tomorrow. Emma Convey, CTV News, Bridgewater.
Next door, New Brunswick's premier is not ruling out using energy as leverage in efforts to end U.S. tariffs hurting business in the province. But Susan Holt says she would rather do, quote, whatever it takes to land a deal in trade. CTV's Anna Mandan reports.
1 week after the U.S. announced sweeping 50% tariffs on Canadian goods, New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt says she's ready to do whatever's needed to help Canada make a deal and remove the tariffs.
We're really supportive of whatever efforts Canada needs to take to get to the kind of free and fair trade that we used to have with the United States.
And that includes potentially using the province's energy exports to New England.
We have to be very strategic about how we use the leverage that we have. But I think one of my colleagues around the table used the quote, you need to walk softly and carry a big stick.
The tariffs, which are expected to go into effect next month, are wide-reaching, impacting everything from electronics to alcohol to molasses. And Holt expects them to impact an estimated $112 million in New Brunswick products, representing 0.8% of provincial exports to the U.S.
Any dollar is not good. In some cases, this means, I think, to one of our entrepreneurs, a $44 million impact in the cardboard and box making space.
But an associate law professor at the University of New Brunswick says threatening energy could be risky when it would otherwise be unaffected, and the tariffs are not guaranteed.
I think that it's a good idea to walk carefully when you try to redirect as a sort of a way to force the hand of a trading partner.
She's not alone. While the Atlantic Chamber of Commerce is still gathering a sense of what the tariffs will mean for local businesses, its president and CEO wants the country to avoid retaliatory responses.
There's decades and decades of research that show that no one wins when tariffs are slapped on.
Amidst hope, a deal can be found before the next round of tariffs hits Canada's economy on August 19th. Anna Mandan, CTV News, Fredericton.
Later in the newscast, we'll look at results of a new survey on how Canadians are feeling about those tariffs. And there's more reporting at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Nova Scotia police believe there are adults out there who were targeted years ago when young by an accused sexual predator. The man's court case began today. CTV's Callum Smith is at Pictou Court with the latest. Callum.
67-year-old Stephen Frederick Nelson was supposed to appear in court today for a bail hearing, but the judge was told he has hearing difficulties and issues with his hearing aids, so the case was pushed back to next month. Nova Scotia RCMP's ICE unit was tipped off by a social media platform in April, saying that child sexual abuse and exploitation material was being transmitted through its site. Fast forward to last week, a search warrant was executed at a home in central Caribou, Pictou County. RCMP say electronic devices and firearms were seized. They charged Nelson with 2 counts of possession of child sexual abuse and exploitation material, transmitting it, as well as 2 firearms offenses.
Then comes the examination of the devices, and if you can imagine a person who is seeking out child sexual abuse and exploitation material can do that before they're sharing it on social media. So that could be instances where a person could be making their own or taking advantage of other situations. So that's why we want to speak to anyone who has a history with Mr. Nelson who may have been a victim of this type of criminal offense.
That's because RCMP believe there could be additional victims who are now adults who have been targeted dating back several years, and investigators want them to come forward. According to court documents, these charges are alleged to have occurred between March 31st and April 3rd. In court today, the Crown said a replacement information or new list of charges is expected. RCMP tells CTV News that could mean more charges or a correction of those already laid.
When it comes to reviewing evidence, such as the electronic devices that were seized, it's potentially that more evidence can be located or different times of incidents, so that is quite possible.
A legal aid lawyer appearing for Nelson today said he's not seeking bail at this point, and he was remanded into custody. Ultimately, Nelson's case was pushed back to August 24th, at which point he's due in court for an election and plea hearing. Todd.
All right, CTV's Callum Smith in Pictou. Thanks for that, Callum. They flipped the switch on a blue light on a Fredericton bridge last night. It'll be on again tonight and every night after. CTV's Nick Moore tells us why it's there.
A blue glow on the St. John River is now a permanent vigil. Guardian is a tribute to first responders honoring 2 Fredericton police officers who were killed responding to a shooting at a Northside apartment complex. 4 people were killed on August 10, 2018. Constable Rob Costello, Donald Adam Robichaud, Bobby Lee Wright, and Constable Sarah Burns. A makeshift memorial appeared outside the police station hours after the shooting.
It was a tremendous outpouring of support.
Retired Fredericton Police Chief Leanne Fitch was serving as chief on the day of the shooting.
Everything from, flowers that were being laid out in front of the police department, calls and emails. Did a lot to strengthen a lot of us going forward and kind of getting through those first few days and first few weeks.
Formal planning for a permanent memorial began about 2 years after the shooting.
We didn't know what it would be. It could be anything.
Local architect John LaRue is a volunteer consultant for the project who helped to develop the memorial alongside police officers.
That group of the dozen police officers, kudos to them because they knew what it had to be and they gave their time and their dedication to it. They wanted something that would be aspirational and looking at the positivity of people's commitment that are on the police force that protect us.
Retired Chief Martin Gaudette was deputy chief when the shooting happened and says having the memorial on an old Carleton Bridge pier was key.
You can see it from all corners of this city as you walk around the bridges. You can see it from the police department.
I think the location is beautiful. Center of the city can be appreciated from both sides of the river.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Stephen Burns, the widow of Officer Sarah Burns, attended the memorial's first illumination and spoke at City Hall just before.
On behalf of all of the families that were affected that day, so thank you.
The blue glow will appear every night and then recede at dawn, providing some light on a dark moment. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
That's a live look right now at Edmundston, where it's a balmy 27 degrees. Let's get our first look at the weather. For that, of course, we go to the Weather Center. CTV meteorologist Caleb Mitchell, and it was lovely right across the region.
Yep, very warm day. Yeah. Humidity kind of picked up a little bit around the Maritime region. Edmundston, the northwest, New Brunswick, still this evening. Low chance of a shower or thunderstorm. That's if something happens to drift in out of the showers that are ongoing currently in through Quebec. Taking a look at temperatures right now around the Maritimes. For many locations, especially away from coastal areas, temperatures right now are in the mid to high 20s, and then areas on the coast mostly around the low to mid 20s. But because of the level of humidity in the air, humidex values are making it feel warmer, in a lot of cases up towards the mid to high 20s and some into the low 30s. It's dew point temperatures, which is a measure of moisture in the air, around the mid to high teens. That's when we start to notice some mugginess around the Maritime region, and the level of humidity is expected to remain pretty steady here here over the next couple of days and into the upcoming weekend. Over on radar and satellites. So there's going to be some fog developing tonight for sure around the Maritimes. And then there's that low chance of a shower or thunderstorm. You can see some of that ongoing right now a little bit further towards the west in through Quebec. As we take a look at the sky conditions for tonight, a cloud outlook. There should be some fairly clear sky when it comes to cloud cover, but the limiting factor for visibility tonight could be that fog developing during the overnight hours. So if you were going to do some night sky viewing, it might be best to do that in the evening before that fog really develops and moves in. It's a waxing gibbous moon tonight, 99% illuminated above the southeastern horizon by 9 p.m. A Venus will be setting on the western horizon after sunset. The Delta to Aquarius meteor shower. Shooting stars, probably because of that meteor shower. The Perseids meteor shower will begin in early August and then peaks towards mid-August. Taking a look at visibility as we make our way into the start of the day for tomorrow. That's the effect of that fog developing during the night. There could be some areas of some low and reduced visibility to start Wednesday. I will have more on Wednesday's forecast, though, and what's coming up towards the end of the week when I'm back later on, Todd.
Okay, so lights on tomorrow morning if you're driving?
Yeah, especially if you notice that fog around.
Yep, we'll see you in about 15 minutes. Thanks. Thousands of chickens died after a break-and-enter in Lunenburg County. Officers were called to a facility on Nogler Road in Pine Grove Saturday morning. Police say about 10,000 chickens died after the barn was broken into and the ventilation fans were turned off.
As far as we know, there's nothing that was stolen or missing other than people gaining an illegal entry in the farm and tampering with the system.
Police are asking anyone with information on the break-and-enter to call them or Crime Stoppers.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A fire in Dartmouth last night badly damaged 3 buildings, including a business. Black smoke could be seen for kilometers around the city when this blaze broke out on Gaston Road in Dartmouth. 3 buildings were on fire, including an Indian grocery store. Crews were dispatched over the dinner hour.
So we got a report of a fire at 10 after 6 this evening. When first crews arrived on scene, they encountered heavy flames within 3 buildings. Crews went directly to work, got lines on the fire, got the fire knocked down so it didn't extend to any neighboring structures. Now we're in the process of continuing to knock down that fire and check for overhaul and do our primary searches and stuff like that.
Damage, as you can see, was significant. The cause is under investigation tonight. We're hearing from a small business owner in Moncton who says she has hit her limit. She's frustrated with vandalism, filth, and crime her shop has had to endure. Still, as CTV's Derek Haggett reports, she refuses to give up.
This market owner is wondering what she did to deserve a recent string of events that has left her angry and concerned for her children. She's been dealing with vandalism and open drug use on her property. Last November, copper wire was stolen from an HVAC system that cost $2,000 to replace.
I'm from Korea, and we don't have this kind of crime in Korea.
She says her 11-year-old son was frightened when he witnessed a group of people clearly under the influence of drugs and bent over like zombies in the parking lot. A 911 call was made, but the group wouldn't leave. Shortly after calling police, the store lost its internet. They went 2 days without it. She believes the lines were cut in retaliation for calling the RCMP. After closing the store a week ago, she opened her laptop and shared her story on Facebook.
What did I do wrong? I don't think I ever deserved this. I'm a hard worker, like I'm working 13 hours a day.
There's been online support from customers, and Moncton's anti-crime coalition, Enough is Enough, shared her post.
She's telling a story that so many shop owners have, so many business owners in the downtown and surrounding areas.
To make matters worse, people have been dumping garbage next to the market's bin.
If that's the scene that I have to see the first in the morning, I have no energy, no dedicate or no motivation to serve my customer.
She won't close, but if someone were to die of a drug overdose on her property and one of her children discovered the body, she wouldn't continue. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
We'll take a break now with much more to come. Plenty of fog in the Maritimes tonight. Kaylin will have the details, and we'll discuss that agreement between Maritime provinces on electricity. But first, a trade tirade.
It sure feels like you got to do something. You don't want to stand by idly.
Donald Trump says he doesn't want a deal, and Canadians are fed up with the whole thing. New polling numbers next.
This is the Campfire Conditions Report brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. And again, with continuing dry conditions in the province of New Brunswick, campfires and Category 1 burning is currently not allowed. For the province of Nova Scotia, campfires are allowed between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. Same thing goes for Category 1 burning. And for Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently permitted, with domestic brush burning, that's your Category 1 burning, allowed between 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. Along with those provincial restrictions, make sure to check in on any municipal restrictions and bylaws.
U.S. President Donald Trump told Fox News this morning his country doesn't need Canada and he's not interested in a trade deal. According to a new poll, Canadians are pretty fed up with the tariffs and insist this country cannot give in to the president's increasing demands. CTV's Rob Buffman reports.
Canadians remain resolute despite more threats of new tariffs. They don't want Canada to buckle to the U.S. president's demands.
I think we need to make some kind of stand.
It sure feels like you got to do something. You don't want to stand by idly.
Polling out Monday from the Angus Reid Institute shows only 7% of those surveyed support making concessions in order to get tariffs lifted. And 62% want to see the country respond with counter tariffs if the States does slap new 50% ones on Canadian goods.
It's very hard to come back from the rhetoric of annexation. It's very hard to come back from the rhetoric of 51st state.
The Trump administration has cited bans on U.S. liquor, along with the Canadian tariffs on cars and its dairy management system, as irritants to reaching a trade deal. Premier Eby reiterated BC's booze ban is staying in place unless there's a trade deal negotiated. His forestry minister agrees.
Drop the duties, drop the tariffs. I have extended an invitation to the U.S. Lumber Coalition many times, Rob, to meet with me, but I think they're too scared to do so.
Still, despite the elbows-up attitude from most of those polled and the tough talk from the government, industries directly in the line of fire, like softwood lumber, say after 18 months of this trade war, they might accept a less perfect truce than earlier in the fight.
I think the wait-and-see approach is starting to wane quite a bit amongst people. They want to start seeing some action happening.
Even if things do happen and a deal is reached, the majority of Canadians remain skeptical Trump will keep his end of any bargain.
Robert Buffum, CTV News.
We'll step aside for a moment. Still to come, another muggy day ahead in the Maritimes. Kalen's working up the full maritime forecast. He'll cast a line in just a moment. Well, you never know where the CTV News drone will be buzzing about. Today, it was over the community of West Ayrshire on Ile Madame in Cape Breton. A glorious summer day there.
What a beautiful location. Just all the islands there, sitting in the blue waters. A little bit of cloud cover overhead, but I think the sun peeked through at times for Ile Madame.
Yeah, beautiful location. Didn't have the heat that they're experiencing out west. I know you're going to get to that, but as we do our look at the western provinces, I can't help but comment on what's going on in Alberta. If you have family in Alberta, you probably know this. In Edmonton, it's been one monsoon after another.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's almost drought-like in Calgary, only 3 hours away.
Yeah, I believe I read this week, and I have to go back to double check it, but I think they're at, for Edmonton, their rainiest summer on record. I think it's sitting over 500 millimeters of rain now. And once again, through southern parts of the prairie provinces, so Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they're getting underneath a strong ridge in the jet stream, which means soaring temperatures and heat warnings back in effect. So let's take a look at that, what's going on out west right now. Plenty warm around the south coast of BC. Vancouver sitting at 22 degrees, Victoria sitting at 23. But then you see Calgary's at 28, and temperatures come down a little bit up towards Edmonton, but they're still pretty warm, sitting at 24. We've got sunshine at Regina, 30 degrees, and Winnipeg sitting at 29. And again, this is where this ridge is building up in the jet stream. We'll take a look at that in a moment. In the meantime, well, there's a ridge arriving up in the west, out in the east. That ridge comes down into a bit of a broad trough around the Great Lakes. And within that trough, there's a low pressure system. And that's what's been bringing in the showery conditions that are once again present today in parts of Quebec and eastern areas of Ontario, as well as the northeastern United States, and some thunderstorms within those showers. Now, we're not quite into that trough and that low pressure system yet here in the Maritimes, but it is expected to continue to shift eastward through the end of this week. And that's why our shower chances rise, or cloud cover increases, Thursday into Friday, as that low and that trough in the jet stream comes a little bit closer towards us. So that's what we're expecting towards the end of this week. Now, the thing is with these showers is they're still going to be patchy where they're present. So I wouldn't be planning on a blanket rainfall for all three maritime provinces out of this weather system. The showers are likely going to be scattered in their coverage on both Thursday and Friday. But we do have some humidity present, which means if we do get some heavier showers or a couple thunderstorms with that weather, and there is that chance, at least locally, there could be some higher rainfall totals, maybe some totals that get above 20 millimeters in the event of a heavier shower or thunderstorm moving over a specific community. Let's talk a little bit more about the short term. For tonight, with that muggy air in place, what we're going to be seeing in the Maritimes is some fog developing. Now, the fog is going to be thickest and most widespread around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. So especially for those areas, first thing tomorrow morning, if you're commuting early in the morning hours, you've got that fog around, just be aware there could be some reduced visibility. Now, as we make our way from the morning into the afternoon, the fog will be dissipating or retreating to the coastline. And tomorrow afternoon is very similar to today, a mix of sun and cloud, and very warm away from coastal areas with some mugginess present in the air. Now, most of the low temperatures in the forecast for tonight will be around the low to mid-teens. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between 25 and 29 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. There might be some fog around first thing in the morning for central and southern areas of New Brunswick, but then after that, it's expected to be some sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud and high temperatures in the mid to high 20s. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow, some fog in the morning and then mostly sunny to a mix of sun and cloud in the afternoon. High temperatures away from the coast, mid to high 20s. Directly on the coast, there'll be some high temperatures of 22 to 24 degrees. Cape Breton for tomorrow, 24 to 27 degrees. I've got a chance of morning showers there, but it's actually more like there could be some drizzle, some patchy drizzle located within the fog that's going to be around. High temperatures for the north shore of Nova Scotia are going to be near the high 20s. On the Atlantic coastline, high temperatures mostly between 24 and 27. 29 for Truro, though, for tomorrow, and 27 for Amherst. It's going to be hot in the Annapolis Valley with highs near 27. And on the south shore of Nova Scotia, temperatures do come down a little bit. Coastal areas between 21 and 23. Taking a look at the extended forecast for New Brunswick. So there's the chance of showers Thursday and Friday with that trough in the jet stream and that slow-moving low-pressure system. And behind that, right now, looks like a mix of sun and cloud for both Saturday and Sunday. I know it's a long weekend coming up. Monday with a chance of showers at this time. And then Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud. And for Nova Scotia in the forecast on Thursday, isolated showers, a higher chance of showers in general for the province on Friday and some cloudier conditions. Chance of showers right now on Saturday, relatively low chance, then a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday, low chance of showers on Monday of next week, and then a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, cloudier conditions on Thursday, showers for Friday, chance of showers on Saturday, as well as Monday of next week. Todd.
I was going to ask you something, but clearly you got a cough there, so I won't bother you about it. Okay, coming up next, we'll talk about an agreement signed between the Maritime premiers to improve the region's energy grid. Stay with us.
Okay, so coming up on the show tomorrow, another chance to win some tickets to get to the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival to see Matt Rife. Good luck.
As well, join us around 7:30 for your chance at a $100 gas card.
The Maritime premiers agreed last week to cooperate to improve the region's electric power grid. Few details were offered in the memorandum of understanding that was signed. Mike Holland is the former energy minister in New Brunswick, now VP with Sussex Strategy Group in Atlantic Canada. He is in North Wallace, Nova Scotia, and it's nice to have you, Mike.
Always a pleasure, Todd.
Industry insiders have been arguing for this kind of thing for years. Looks like something's going to happen. We're not exactly sure what. What is it that you would like to see as one of those people who've been saying the provinces need to coordinate?
Well, we've had this conversation at several times and in several locations. There's a lot of exciting things taking place in each individual province in the Maritimes as it relates to the future of energy. But the fact remains that the Maritimes is a relatively small jurisdiction population-wise, so it only makes sense to collaborate on projects of size and scope. So what I see that was announced was, an initiative to move towards a common planning framework, something where the federal government was very open in saying we want to get behind some exciting projects that are going to have a variety of benefits, but we're going to need to do it together. We're going to need to do it as a region. There are a lot of details to be determined, but I see it as the coming together of a region to collaborate, take their strengths, and be better together, so to speak.
So New Brunswick and PEI both said that on their own, they are desperate for more power. They may not be able to generate the needs to satisfy the growing population. We know Nova Scotia is looking at wind. We know New Brunswick is looking at a new reinvigorated Point Lepreau. So is the idea that, they would certainly sell power to each other? Is it as simple as that?
Again, the details to be unfolded, but it could be as simple as the fact that, like you said, New Brunswick has a brownfield opportunity to expand an already existing nuclear footprint to generate electricity. That's base load power that could be very beneficial to backstop the renewable energy that Premier Houston is talking about. That large-scale renewable energy that he's talking about can go to feed and export to New Brunswick and PEI and beyond. Again, you've got two jurisdictions separated by a very small piece of land and working on some large-scale projects. So cooperation and where they may dovetail together, and this process of understanding that could lead to mutual benefit for the entire region, and servicing a much larger need for.
We're not talking about one energy company, though, are we?
Electricity on that? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sitting at the table with this planning process, but, we've got energy companies, NB Power, Nova Scotia Power, Maritime Electric. These companies have been in existence for a long, long time. They're going to evolve. The NB Power, for example, of today is not going to look like the same NB Power in 10 years from now. The evolution is going to be there, but I think it would be in conjunction and collaboration with the other existing power companies where they take the best practices. If we could take all of those companies and reduce the duplication and redundancies, collaborate and maximize on existing generation and work together to create an economy of scale on large-scale projects, they could remain individuals, but all be better as a result.
Now you're into politics. Who's going to raise their hand and say, okay, we'll shrink our utility to, create something like this?
That's, of course, where, the details become very important. And I like the line where, we've heard it a million times, this will be simple, just not easy. And, you're going to have to, and this process will have to uncover and seriously work through how the costs and benefits are distributed and shared amongst these provinces. And the feds, the provinces, I think it's important to be eyes wide open and understand that a Nova Scotia elected official is going to be concerned about the benefits that brings to their province and vice versa with PEI and New Brunswick. So keeping in mind that these folks all working under the same umbrella are still responsible to constituencies in their own province. So they're going to be focused on how that does bring a benefit to themselves. The key is that working together to find that mutual benefit. Easier said than done, maybe, maybe very easy in some areas. I think one area that could be looked at that would bring benefit to the entire region would be, regulatory alignment. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, there's a lot of differences. I remember when I was the minister, what we did regulatory-wise in New Brunswick was different in Nova Scotia. Some alignment there could help with supply chain freedoms and basically making it easier to get the job done. So I think that there's lots to do within the umbrella that's being proposed.
Mike Holland of Sussex Strategy. Thanks for that, Mike. We appreciate your insight on this. We'll be talking about it with you again, no doubt.
100% available at any time. Look forward to it.
All right. Have a great day. We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more after this. In medical headlines, there's a new campaign advocating for Canadian access to a life-extending ovarian cancer treatment. CTV's Amanda Debison has the details in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
Ovarian cancer is one of the deadliest cancers in Canada due to late-stage diagnosis. A drug which has shown to improve patient survival rates was approved by Health Canada last year, but since then, negotiations between our country and the manufacturer have stalled.
While ovarian cancer is very responsive to treatment in the short term, the cancer often comes back. And in the recurrent setting, that's where we start to struggle a little bit more.
Dr. Leslie Roberts is joining a chorus of voices across the country as part of the Share Your Voice campaign. It's being run by Ovarian Cancer Canada and encourages anyone who's been touched by the disease to share their story and to sign a petition asking the government to lock down a deal as soon as possible.
So Share Your Voice is an online campaign. So if you look up Ovarian Cancer Canada or the Share Your Voice campaign, there's lots of ways that you can speak up and advocate.
According to the Canadian Cancer Society, an estimated 3,000 women in Canada will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer this year, and an estimated 1,950 will die from it. Cadbury has recalled one of its products because of undeclared pistachio. The recall involves several of the company's Dairy Milk Oreo chocolate bars. Officials say people have reported allergic reactions after eating the products. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says anyone who bought the chocolate bars should either throw them in the garbage or return them for a refund. A food safety investigation is underway, and the recalled products are being pulled from store shelves. Finally, a volunteer in the UK has received the first dose of an experimental vaccine in a trial aimed at fighting the fast-moving Ebola outbreak in Congo and Uganda. The early trial will test the safety of the new vaccine and how well it helps the immune system respond. About 50 healthy adults in England will take part. The vaccine was developed by researchers at the University of Oxford. If the trial is successful, more testing will be needed to determine whether the vaccine can be approved for wider use. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Last night, Maritime filmmaker Ed Pyle was here, and he told us about his documentary on great white sharks in our region. Well, tonight, CNN's Rick Damigella takes a look at a new show on bull sharks.
Looking forward to some shark action.
Conservationist and shark attack survivor Paul DeGelder returns to the water for a new series of Shark Week specials.
It's a celebration of all things sharks. So we have science, of course, we have exploration, we have adventure, we have the scientists, we have experiments. And so I have a really nice broad spectrum of shows this year.
And then there's the bull shark.
DeGelder is part of a trio of shows this year, including one focused on the species which attacked him.
It's called Bull Shark Dinner Bell. And we basically have put all of the ingredients together to make the perfect recipe to ring the bull shark dinner bell, to show people exactly what happens, what the sharks are attracted to, and what you need to avoid.
Bull sharks are highly adaptable ambush predators that thrive in temperate waters.
Being able to walk in the footsteps of some of my heroes and teach people about wild animals and wild places, people like Steve Irwin and David Attenborough and all these incredible people, Ron and Valerie Taylor. Now I get to take up the torch and teach people about these things as well, and I feel very, very lucky.
My goal is to figure out what rings the dinner bell for bull sharks. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Our business report is next, but first, here's Kaylin Mitchell.
The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival is just a week away. The event will take place from August 6th to 9th on the Garrison grounds in Halifax and will feature comedians Matt Rife, Andrew Schultz, Nikki Glazer, and more. One lucky viewer will win 2 VIP tickets to Thursday's show to see Matt Rife. Go to ctvatlantic.ca or scan the QR code on the screen to enter. The contest is open until 6 p.m. Thursday. Don't miss out on your chance to enjoy live comedy in the Great Outdoors.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Food that you struggle to eat with dignity. Join us for that tomorrow at 7.
And answer 10 questions and win $1,000 tomorrow at 7 with $1,000 minute.
On the markets, the Dow Jones ended the day up 537 points, and tensions over the North American trade pact that we talked about earlier are reaching a flashpoint following those comments out of the White House. BNN Bloomberg's Christine Lee has more on Canada's reaction.
U.S. President Donald Trump declaring Tuesday that the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, or CUSMA, is not important for the United States as trade officials from Ottawa rushed to Washington. Trump asserting on Fox News that Mexico and Canada need U.S., we don't need them, and the U.S. would rather be independent than update CUSMA, brushing off concerns over newly announced 50% tariffs on Canadian imports. Canadian Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will travel to Washington this week to defend domestic industries, backed by recent polling showing 6 in 10 Canadians favor counter tariffs if a resolution cannot be reached. TFI International reported a second quarter profit of $136 million U.S., topping market expectations as freight volumes and operating margins rebound across North America. And telecom operator Bell Canada is launching a nationwide AI system designed to automatically detect and intercept spoofed phone calls to combat rising consumer fraud. BNN Bloomberg is owned by Bell Media, a division of Bell Canada Enterprises. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to $70.88. West Texas Intermediate is down over $3 to $79.26. Western Canadian Select is down over $4 to $65.71. And the TSX is up nearly 35,750 points today. Those are your business news headlines. I'm Christine Lee.
Kayla Mitchell on the weather deck. Boat lovers, take note. This photo tonight is spectacular.
Yeah, I got a really nice one here. This was sent in from Barry Burgess. Was sent in today. He arrived home just in time to catch this going by the coast. Blue Nose 2, of course. I want to thank Barry very much for taking the time to share that beautiful picture for us. Queensland for tomorrow, well, for tonight and for tomorrow. There's going to be some fog that'll be moving in. It'll be around for the morning hours and then hopefully retreating to the coastline and maybe just a little bit off the coastline through the day. High temperature tomorrow will be around 21 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow for the Maritime region, so there's going to be some fog around. It'll be patchy fog, except more widespread for some coastal areas around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. The fog for Nova Scotia may be accompanied by a bit of patchy drizzle. And then moving into the afternoon, the fog dissipates or retreats to the coast. And then tomorrow should be very similar to today, and it'll generally be a mix of sun and cloud around the region. The temperatures are going to be on the warmer side. There'll be a little bit of mugginess to the air, though it's not stifling conditions. And then after that, as we talked about earlier, through Thursday and Friday, expecting some showers to move in. Todd.
Kellen, I know you're a Blue Jays fan. Your team might use the talents of this next story. Finally for us tonight, a squirrel made its major league debut last night. The squirrels you see there ran onto the field during the Orioles-Tigers baseball game in Detroit. Its dash across how do you say that? Comerica Field? Don't know that one. Included a quick run-in with a bird before it kept racing around the field. The chase reached its peak during the 7th inning stretch when the entire grounds crew came rushing onto the field. After many fake-out moves from the squirrel and towel attempts to wrap the squirrel up, the pursuit came to an end. No word on who won the game. That's our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco's here at 11:30. You can get updates at the web and on the app. I'm Todd Battis. Comerica Field. There we go. Good night. See you tomorrow.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.